Wilson. Thanks for coming in.
Well, thank you for the invite, sir. I have to admit, I'm still getting used to the new look.
They said lose the mustache or lose the election. You and I haven't always agreed in the past, but I want to make another run at making Captain America an official military position.
And if we disagree on how to manage this situation, then what happens?
Work with me, Sam. We'll show the world a better way forward.
Sir, your inner circle's been compromised. Either you can't see that, or you don't want to.
What if it's a trap? Global power is shifting. You're just a pawn.
You may be Captain America, but you're not Steve Rogers.
You're right. I'm not.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. Marvel dropped the first Captain America 4 trailer, Brave New World, so we'll break it all down. There's a bunch of Easter eggs here. They also dropped the official poster with Thunderbolt Ross as Red Hulk crushing Captain America's Adamantium shield, just to show that he's going to be fighting him during the movie. There are a couple points in this trailer where you see a little bit of Red Hulk, but they're withholding like a full-on body shot of him, probably till one of the last trailers. Probably the other biggest, literally, thing that you see during this is, in the background, we finally get that dead celestial Tiamat in the Indian Ocean. We're finally following up on that, so we'll talk about that later in the video too, because it's also critical to the Adamantium subplot. Earlier during the year, they released some footage of this at CinemaCon that they did not put in this trailer. So in addition to all this footage, I'll talk about the stuff they did not include in the trailer, which includes an Adamantium subplot. Like, there's no real talk of Adamantium going on during this. At the beginning of the original CinemaCon footage, he's going to Thunderbolt Ross, who's thanking Sam Wilson in the new version of Falcon, played by Torres, for going on a mission to a Japanese dig site and recovering something that's going to be critical to the United States in their future. Basically, they're making it seem like Sam Wilson's Captain America recovers some samples of adamantium. The Japanese dig site is a reference to adamantium's origin in the comics. It was a Japanese scientist back during World War II that developed the process of bonding adamantium to someone's skeleton, which gets into Wolverine's origin story in the Weapon X program, getting his adamantium bonded to his skeleton originally. We know that we're going to see Hugh Jackman's Wolverine during Deadpool and Wolverine, so I know everybody's wondering what the connection is here, if they're setting up a version of Weapon X and Wolverine inside the MCU, if we're going to be seeing Hugh Jackman as Wolverine for a while, like how is that going to work? We'll try to address that during the rest of this footage too. But at the beginning of this first teaser that they're releasing publicly, you have Sam Wilson just in his regular civvies going to meet President Thunderbolt Ross, with them remarking on the recasting. The reason why he's saying, I'm trying to get used to the look, is because they recast William Hurt as Thunderbolt Ross. This is meant to take place a while after Secret Invasion, so the last President Ritson has been voted out of office in a recent election, and Thunderbolt Ross has won the recent election to become president, and that's why he's telling Sam Wilson that they told him to lose the mustache that he used to wear or lose the election, because Harrison Ford, I guess, did not want to grow a mustache for this. This meeting obviously happening at the White House itself, because there are a lot of shots in and around the White House and around Washington, D.C. As he's walking towards Thunderbolt Ross, they flash a couple different footage from different parts of the movie with him in his new Captain America suit. You see it later in the trailer. It looks just like a version of Steve Rogers' more recent Captain America suit, just mixed with his Falcon wings. But I think it's also meant to be his vibranium wingsuit that he's supposed to get during the movie too. Like, it's supposed to be made out of vibranium, which is why he's able to break all that stuff later in the trailer. We will talk about the new suit in a second. Not really clear where he's walking inside this area here, like part of some secret lab. We do hear the leader from the Incredible Hulk movie later in the trailer. Tim Blake Nelson's character is back. The leader is supposed to be the main villain of the movie, or one of the main villains. But he is supposed to look more comic book accurate during this, so I think they're saving him for one of the later trailers too. Notice the vibe of their relationship when he introduces himself, like, oh, thank you for inviting me. The way that Anthony Mackie explained it is that his Sam Wilson is on good terms with Thunderbolt Ross because they both come from the military. They have a pretty good working relationship. But during this conversation, when he's telling him he wants to restart Captain America as an official military position like it used to be during World War II, just like Steve Rogers' Captain America started out, and he asks him back, what happens if we have a disagreement? Like, how are we going to deal with this? That's meant to be a bit of an eye wink at him going against Red Hulk during the movie. What happens if you turn into a giant 10-foot red rage monster? This footage of him addressing the public here with the signs up just seems like it's him at a big rally after he's won the election. Notice the signage says together. Part of the idea is like he's trying to get Sam Wilson to join, quote unquote, his team, like bring Captain America under his purview again, even though it kind of already is, technically. It's part of the larger idea of how they brought the Avengers under government oversight during the events of Captain America's Civil War. A lot of their conversation that they're having is also about what happens if he reforms the Avengers, because during that conversation, even though you don't hear it in this teaser trailer, in the CinemaCon footage, Thunderbolt Ross was asking him to restart the Avengers as well, to like pick a new Avengers team, and he's basically telling him that it'll be a team that will listen to what Thunderbolt Ross tells them to do. That's what Sam Wilson is really talking about when he says, what happens if we have a disagreement? He's trying to remember the events of Captain America Civil War. Like, what if something like that happens again? That's also why they cut the footage of all these authorities running through, looking like they're getting ready to arrest someone while you see him say, you and I haven't always agreed in the past. Because very shortly, they're not going to agree on something. If it wasn't clear, all the people in suits running here are meant to be Secret Service. It's not clear where Sam Wilson is in this footage here, but the door closing behind him is red. There are a lot of red reminders in this. It's meant to be sly winks at the idea of Thunderbolt Ross becoming Red Hulk during the movie. This looks like it's on a military ship in the middle of some mission that they happen to be on. Kind of like Captain America Winter Soldier, you pick up with them on an actual mission. Even though there's red dots on this plane, that makes you think of Red Hulk as well too. That makes me think of China, so maybe these are Chinese planes. This woman that it seems like he's interrogating is meant to be a former Black Widow played by Shira Haas. I don't know what her name in the context of the movie is going to be, but she's now working for Thunderbolt Ross and has his trust as part of his inner circle, so that's probably why she's being interrogated after this attack by Isaiah Bradley. Natasha Black Widow was very critical to Steve Rogers' character in those Captain America movies. Not clear if we're going to see Yelena Belova at any point during this because she's kind of taken over the persona of Black Widow inside the MCU. Right now in present day, she's mostly thought of as a Thunderbolts character, like we saw her in that teaser trailer they released earlier this year. It looks like he's in his Captain America suit during this interrogation. When he's talking about disagreeing about how to manage a situation, the situation in the trailer, as you see, winds up becoming Isaiah Bradley's character going crazy, seemingly being controlled Winter Soldier style. Like this will remind you of Captain America Winter Soldier, with Bucky being controlled with the Hydra programming. Normally people would instantly go to Hydra for that, but it might have something to do with what the leader is doing during the movie. We get our first shot of Giancarlo Esposito in the trailer. He's supposed to be playing G.W. Bridge from X-Force and Six-Pack in the comics. X-Men-based teams, essentially, like from the X-Men side of the comics. We already have Adamantium going on during the movie, so there's a lot of X-Men related stuff happening in the background of this too. G.W. Bridge's character was also a big part of S.H.I.E.L.D. for a long time too, so that might be the case during this movie. They haven't really explained what his character is going to be doing, other than it seems like he'll be going after Sam Wilson, Captain America. What might be happening if he's not evil, like if he's not a villain during the movie, is that President Thunderbolt Ross will just have him go after Sam Wilson's Captain America. This seems like it's happening in the middle of whatever attack is happening that Captain America is part of. Notice the battleship that it seems like Captain America is on during this is near Tiamat, that giant dead celestial in the Indian Ocean. You can actually see it in the background jutting up out of the ocean. They're finally addressing, if it wasn't clear, that's what this is in the background. It's the dead celestial. Supposedly, they're going to find adamantium on that, and it'll be sort of a race for all these different countries around the world to try and claim all those precious resources, particularly the adamantium. The way they end their conversation, it also kind of sounds like Thunderbolt Ross is telling him, work with me, Sam, or else, ... This seems like it's happening during that fight with G.W. Bridge. Then we see them in the middle of this briefing with Thunderbolt Ross in the middle of this circular display talking about the recent mission. I think this has to do with the adamantium subplot. It seems that there are a bunch of other important government and military officials there, as well as Isaiah Bradley. Notice on the map there are two big circles that they have highlighted. There's a yellow circle in the middle of the United States and one in the middle of what looks like France. Then there's another yellow circle that you kind of can't see here behind the lights just because of the way it's obscured that seems closer to India near the actual dead Celestial. So it just seems that they're talking about what just happened during Captain America's recent mission. Isaiah Bradley then goes full Winter Soldier like he's being controlled by someone else. Someone else has programmed his mind. Notice we also see Torres during this too. Like I said, he's become the new Falcon during the events of this. And even though it seems like he's trying to assassinate the president and a bunch of other important people, part of the idea is that Hydra is supposed to have been destroyed a long time ago. So the next big question is, if Hydra is gone, who programmed him? Like, who's actually trying to get him to do this? Like I said, it might have something to do with what the leader is doing during the events of the movie, because it seems like he's behind a lot of the craziness. RIP to some of those Secret Service people that he winds up taking out. Also a good reminder that he has the super soldier serum inside his body still, so even though he's an old man, he's still very, very powerful. Him jumping out the window should also remind you of Captain America Winter Soldier when Steve Rogers was going after Winter Soldier and they both jumped out that window. Then it seems like Thunderbolt Ross, Sam Wilson, everybody goes down to the bunker underneath the White House. I think that's where this is meant to be, in that secret bunker. There actually is one inside the real White House, though. It seems like they're still working together. He tries to tell him that his inner circle has been compromised. They're trying to figure out why Isaiah Bradley did this. We see them doing a bit of snooping. There's a couple radar dishes with red lights on them. Another reminder of Red Hulk. Like, there's so many Red Hulk teasers during this. We see Sam Wilson and Torres in a special facility looking around. Like, you see him with his Captain America shield. They're trying to find something. Not clear where they are or what's going on here. This place might be where the leader has been doing a lot of his work. This looks like the chair where he programmed Isaiah Bradley. It's meant to evoke a lot of imagery from Captain America Winter Soldier in the chair that Bucky was in when Hydra was programming him, but you see all the red lights behind it, making you think that this is where the leader is also working on turning Thunderbolt Ross into Red Hulk. It just seems like this lab belongs to the leader character. We get a little better look around the lab too, like he's had someone strapped to the table here while he's been messing with them. Torres then asks him in another scene, what if it's a trap? Yes, it's probably a trap. It's probably the leader's trap. This fight scene seems like it's with the G.W. Bridges character and his men. But notice Anthony Mackie is still in a white Captain America suit, not the same one that he has later in the trailer. So we'll have a couple of costume changes during the movie. This final one, I think, is the vibranium version. That flip kick move is also one that he did during Captain America Civil War. Then we get a rear shot of what looks like the leader character on the phone. Like, they don't want to actually show his face, but he is meant to look green like comic book leader during the movie. It's not clear who he's talking to. He's probably talking to Sam Wilson's Captain America character, but he says global power is shifting. The way that he described the leader during the movie is that he's really angry about all the things that have happened to him since the events of the Incredible Hulk movie and feels like the US government owes him a lot. And during the movie, he's taking what he thinks he's owed. So I think part of what's going on here is the leader has his own agenda and he kind of goes rogue during the movie. But before this, he's been working for the US government. Like, he's been working for President Thunderbolt Ross on projects, quote unquote. Maybe on Weapons Plus projects. We see the two of them at night in a truck taking out his Captain America shield. This looks like them investigating one of the secret labs or something during the middle of the night when they see those radar dishes. During this photo op at the White House, this hand also looks a little bit green too, so this might be the leader character in disguise, watching this all go down. It seems like he's telling Sam Wilson he's just a pawn in all this, like, you're a small fish. As we see more of that battle, it seems like it's happening at the Tiamat Dead Celestial. This new female character, I think, is meant to be his new love interest during the movie. There's a funeral scene. It's not clear who it's a funeral for because it seems like there's a lot of people there. They also brought the Betty Ross character, Liv Tyler's Betty Ross, back from Incredible Hulk, and she's at the funeral too. There's only a couple people she would probably show up to a funeral for, and one of them would be her father, President Thunderbolt Ross. Maybe they tried to play it like he's killed during the events of the movie and then brought back as Red Hulk. Generally, a lot of Hulk-based stuff is going to be in this movie, mostly from the Incredible Hulk movie. This seems like it's happening at the leader's lab, like we saw earlier, but a bunch of these men, maybe they're working for the leader, try to stop him, but their gear kind of looks like military gear. So like I said, the leader might have had this secret base on the purview of Thunderbolt Ross, like he might have been working for Thunderbolt Ross in this place. This is also a good way to show you that Captain America's vibranium shield dissipates energy. This seems like it's another fight with the G.W. Bridge character, Giancarlo Esposito. Not clear what kind of fight is going down during this scene. Notice the blue and red in the background here. That's meant to be a reference to Captain America, Sam Wilson versus Red Hulk, Thunderbolt Ross. We see him outside giving the address to a bunch of people. Then we get that big moment where he tells him down in the bunker underneath after the big attack has just gone down that he's not Steve Rogers, and he tries to tell him, no, I'm not. Like basically he's trying to tell him I'm my own person, like I'm my own version of Captain America. Don't compare me to Steve Rogers. As we see them during a big battle scene panning up with him in his new vibranium Captain America suit that looks just like Steve Rogers' last Captain America suit. I think the idea is that he's supposed to be given this vibranium wingsuit from Shuri. She might have a small role during the movie. This seems like him escaping the leader's base or whatever's going on here. All the red lights, like I said, just reminding you more Red Hulk stuff. Then we see him flying past Tiamat, that dead Celestial, in his new vibranium wingsuit. Notice he also has a special helmet that he wears on it too. I am sure there's all kinds of little toys and weapons that he also has inside this too. Notice throughout the trailer too, and with the title at the end, they have the black and white glitching look, like there's some kind of programming or some kind of signal. I think that's meant to be a reference to the programming that Isaiah Bradley has gotten during the movie. Early theory, like I said, it might have something to do with what the leader is doing. This scene with like a whole side of the White House exploding seems like it might be Red Hulk in the middle of this causing this damage. And we see a side shot of him at the end of the trailer throwing down Captain America's shield. So this is part of some big battle they have outside. Couple big comic book connections here too. The leader character was part of the intelligentsia in the comics. In the comics, it was the intelligentsia that turned Thunderbolt Ross into Red Hulk. But a big part of the way they did that involved a big fight with the actual Bruce Banner version of Hulk. So it's not totally clear if Bruce Banner Hulk is going to appear during this movie. Mark Ruffalo made it sound like he wasn't in the movie, but he might have been lying. What'll probably happen, because we just got that teaser for Red Hulk at the end of this trailer, is that we'll see a much better version of him in the next big trailer, like a full-on frontal shot. Full frontal Red Hulk action. When it comes to all the Hugh Jackman Wolverine, Weapon X, Adamantium stuff, I think they're just laying the track for a new MCU version of Wolverine. Hugh Jackman is still supposed to be the main version of Wolverine through at least Secret Wars. He might stick around even a little bit longer than that, but Marvel is making their new solo X-Men movie with like new versions of the characters inside the MCU eventually. That probably won't happen till after Secret Wars, and they do a big soft reboot on the MCU just in general. Supposedly, they're not going to recast Wolverine and introduce a new MCU version till well after that, so like the new version of Wolverine will not debut in that new X-Men movie. So what they can do in this movie is just lay the track work for Weapon X to actually become a thing by introducing the concept of Adamantium in the MCU. But there's so many Easter eggs and references going on during this. If there's anything you spotted in the trailer footage that I didn't talk about in the video, just write them below in the comments, and I'll add them in my next bonus videos. There's a bunch of big stuff coming up. We'll get Deadpool and Wolverine really soon too. There's going to be jam-packed with Easter eggs and references, mostly X-Men based references, but also a lot of clowning on the MCU just in general, because it is Deadpool. Speaking of Hulk-related stuff, click here for my Deadpool and Wolverine Hulk video, and click here for my House the Dragon Season 2 Episode 5 video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.